Rogers from D1 Baseball and D1Baseball.com joins us this afternoon. Kendall, great to talk with you. We got one weekend of the college baseball season in the books. Just very generic, big picture question. What stood out to you from the opening weekend? Because we didn't have just those series where everybody's eyes were on one place this weekend.
No, you're right. And I think the big thing that stands out to me is individual performances. I look at, Chase Burns at Wake Forest in his debut with the Deacs, sitting 98 to 101 with a slider with a, spin rate RPMs over 3,000. I thought to me, that was incredibly impressive. Billy Amick, the Clemson transfer that went to Tennessee, was really special over the weekend, when I saw those guys at Globe Life. I think you look at, down at A&M with Jace Lavalette hitting 3 home runs over the weekend, hit another one today. He's got 4 home runs already, one of the premier players in the SEC. Then out west, one of the premier freshmen in the country, Trent Caraway and Travis Bazana at Oregon State are off to just a sizzling hot start. So those are the big things that stood out to me from a national stage.
Anything in the SEC that really jumped out at you?
You know what? It's strange to say this. It's just one game. I want people to pause and not take too much from this. But is it too early after one start to say that Cade Fisher will not be Florida's starter and when SEC play begins? I just, I thought when Sully, that's not who I was expecting to be their Friday starter after the fall. But when Sully announced him as a Friday starter, I was thinking I like Cade Fisher as a reliever, but I was not sold on him as a Friday night guy, and he did not pitch like a Friday night guy. So my takeaway was, man, maybe they have some pretty significant question marks on the mound.
Could very well be the case, and it's been a while, I think, since we said that about Florida. Maybe there was one season mixed in where it kind of didn't go the way we thought, but, they've been pretty loaded for a while. With arms and with dudes there with the Gators program. Let's pull it into Mississippi. Let's start in Hattiesburg. USM this weekend goes 2-1, and then they played Air Force yesterday. So they played 4 games in 4 days to start the season. And they're off to a 3-1 start in Christian Ostrander's head coaching debut weekend at Southern Miss. Thought there was some really good on the mound with them, but offensively, a lot of work to do.
Yeah, offensively they do have some work to do. But I tell you what, Nico Mazza was a guy that, coming into the season, Richard, that I thought had a chance to have a monster season for them. He was obviously very good over the weekend. That's great to see. J.B. Middleton's another guy for me. You talk about a premium arm. You're talking about a guy that's a 96, 97, 98. Last year was kind of a mixed bag of results, which is what you kind of expect out of a young guy. But he went out there and, 2 innings, so small sample size. But with 4 strikeouts, I think if he was kind of my pick to click for this team. If he has a big year along with Nico, they're going to win a lot of games. But, offensively, I think you look around the country, there are a lot of teams I felt like started a little slow, not Ole Miss. And I think Ole Miss is going to be a solid offensive club. So first weekend, it's hard to really take too much. But, pitching-wise, Southern Miss looking pretty good. Offensively, kind of need to get it together a little bit. I don't think Slade Wilkes and, guys like Monasterio are going to hit the way they did over the weekend.
We'll get to Oxford in a second. Let's go to Starkville. Mississippi State wins 2 of 3 against Air Force. Very easily could have been a sweep this weekend, but they had a guy for Air Force made a nice play to get the base hit and drive in a couple of runs in the 9th inning of that second game. They're trailing Austin Peay in the 5th inning today. Can we take anything away yet from what we saw in Mississippi State? Dakota Jordan hits a couple of home runs. No surprise there.
Yeah.
Anything to take away from that first weekend winning the series against Air Force?
Mississippi State, honestly, is one of the few schools where I do think I take something away. I'll look back at last season, and 2 things. Number 1, the pitching staff stunk. Number 2, if you remember, Mississippi State, when anything went wrong for them, the next day was not very pretty. And I think, actually, if I'm Chris Lemonis, this sounds very strange, but if I'm Chris Lemonis, I'm okay with the fact I lost the middle game because I love love the way that my team responded in game 3 because I don't think last year's team responds that well. And the other thing for me with Mississippi State is, Air Force historically, and time will tell if their offense this year is really good. They certainly have an All-American up the middle. But Air Force historically is really good offensively. And I was encouraged by their pitching. I mean, Nate Dome, Chris was telling me earlier this spring was electric in spring scrimmages. Cal Steven, the fact that he, had excellent command and struck at 11, I didn't see that coming. Obviously a talented guy, but I didn't see that kind of outing coming. Then you look at Kemp Schulke on the back end. I mean, you're starting to look, and guys like Colby Holcomb, you're starting to look at a team that has options, and so I think as Mississippi State, if they can pitch at a high level this year and show better command, they could surprise a lot of people. So Mississippi State again, that's a team for me that checked the box this past weekend. Again, we'll see if they establish consistency, but I've got my eye on them. I was very encouraged by what I saw on the mound from those guys.
Hey, Dad, did you hear that? That was a positive outlook on Mississippi State baseball.
I'm very. I mean, go look at like Air Force in the past like 2 years early in the season. Man, they rough up some teams.
Yeah. Kendall, he thinks that you think that I'm going to get mad because you haven't been positive in the past. I would get mad because you're being positive. I don't like this team at all, but we'll see who's right at the end.
Well, maybe after Lamotis won the national championship, then he was a horrible coach last year. Maybe he's a really good coach again. Maybe he went to that off-season course.
I've always said they should have fired him right after the national championship. You got to sell high, Kendall. You can't allow the stock to drop.
You got to set the bar, man.
Oh, all right. Let's slide from Starkville over to Oxford. Ole Miss went a long way to go 2-2 this weekend. They go to Hawaii. Really entertaining game in the first game. I don't know if you made it all the way till 3:30 a.m. to watch that first one.
Unfortunately, I did, and I paid for it at Globe Life with an 11 a.m. start the next day.
I can understand that. So an entertaining first game, and then a good win in the second game, which was the first game of a doubleheader. And they got popped in the next two. Really outscored, and especially in game 4. Just played poorly, walked a bunch of guys, made a bunch of errors. So what do you take from one weekend for Ole Miss?
I don't take a lot, and here's why. When you go to Hawaii, you can ask any coach in college baseball, and Mike would not want to make excuses. But going to Hawaii, honestly, is extremely difficult. It's really long travel. Your players are looking forward to it for all the reasons that aren't baseball. Mamas and daddies are going to the deal. They're wanting to hang out with their kid. It's like a vacation with a baseball season. And so what I'm saying, and I'm not trying to totally excuse the weekend, just going 2-2 against those guys, but it is a very difficult trip. I think as you look ahead for Ole Miss, I have zero doubt that JT Quinn and Grayson Saunier and guys like that are going to pitch pretty well this season. I really don't. I have a lot of confidence in those guys. So the fact that they scuffled, the fact that, Ole Miss hit, was it 170 or 180 for the weekend as a team? I mean, they're obviously going to be way better than that offensively moving forward. And so, my takeaway is that, they got punched in the mouth a little bit, especially in that last game. And, to be determined. Let's see how they look this weekend and the next weekend and then kind of go from there. But, yeah, a road trip to Hawaii is extremely difficult.
We were talking about it a little bit this morning, and I thought there was one positive to take away in that final game.
Yeah.
And it was that you had Josh Mallett's come back and throw 2 innings, and he looked good. And then you also got the debut of Austin Simmons, the freshman left-hander who reclassified, came for football, and he pitched really well in the now, that was the only bright spot that I think you could take away from that fourth game. But I thought, if you're playing a 3-game series, those guys pitch in a different role than they did in a 4-game series.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, that's a positive. And I'll look back at the way they kind of went back and forth and traded jabs in that, in that extra inning game that went till 3:30 in the morning Central Time. I mean, there were plenty of opportunities in those extra innings on both sides to win that game. And I like the fact they kind of battled back and forth on the road. It seemed like the crowd was really good for Hawaii. So, you like to see those early season tests. I mean, you would like to go 3-1. But I think going 2-2 on the road on a place where you're traveling, 13, 14 hours to get there, It's okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just in the middle.
All right. If I took anything from this, Kendall Rogers told Mississippi State fans and Ole Miss fans, take a step back from the ledge. There's a lot of baseball still to play.
It's opening weekend, guys. It's opening weekend.
Great to visit with you, Kendall.
Yeah, you got it, guys. Be good.